Hello, everyone. Welcome into Above My Pay Grade. My name is Eric. Thanks for tuning in. If you could hit that like button, hit subscribe, really helps out the channel and helps this mustache growing nice and luscious. If you were paying attention yesterday, you probably saw that GDP went up. And if you're like me, you're probably like, huh? How in the world? I see the world dealing with unprecedented times. So how does the GDP go up? And I'll say GDP, just like CPI, is another government number that doesn't always reflect reality because your personal inflation rate probably is like 20 to 25% on what you spend money on, and yet CPI is in the 8s, right? So GDP kind of similar. So it's just a number that economists look at, but let's kind of dive into it just a little bit and see what caused this. Okay, we exported more essentially than we imported. So imports went down, exports went up, and our imports went down because demand is dropping. And our exports, what do we export? We exported commodities, oil and gas, as well as weapons to Europe. So these weapons to Europe that we're shipping over there are going on our tab, meaning our national debt. So those add to GDP somehow, these billions of dollars in weapons. So it's you can add to GDP by donating things. Great. But the one I want to focus on is commodities, oil and gas. So we're exporting that to Europe. Why? Because they were over-reliant on Russia, as we know, and now they have to find other importers. Great. So reading from this article here on Zero Hedge, it says, the only reason the GDP print was strong is because Europe is collapsing into a recession and is now over-reliant on U.S. energy and weapons exports. Fabulous. So not good news. Not like, hey, things are looking up. People are going back to work and people are buying more stuff. No. Okay, so that's why the GDP went up. But I want to fast forward a couple months to a potential possibility I want you to think about. All right, and I'm reading from an article here on Reuters. The largest U.S. oil trade groups said on Tuesday that they have significant concerns that the Biden administration is considering limiting fuel exports to lower consumer prices and urged top officials to take the option off the table, according to a letter seen by Reuters. So the Biden administration has thought about limiting exports and saying, everyone who refines fuel and diesel here in the United States has to keep it in-house to lower the price. And obviously I wouldn't put that above them. They're draining our strategic petroleum reserve right now. What's the word strategic in there for? Oh yeah, wartime. Oh, that's right. Okay, so they're draining that, so I wouldn't put it above them. But I think they might get forced into this position. That's right, forced into this position to do something politically expedient. Not for price reasons, but for supply reasons. Okay? Reading from another article here, and I'm going to walk you through that, on Zero Hedge. Diesel supplies are very scarce across the Northeast and the Southeast. Supplies are at the lowest seasonal level for this time of year, and the U.S. only has 25 days left of industrial fuel in storage. Because the condition is rapidly devolving and market economics are changing significantly each day, Mansfield, which is the supplier or one of the logistics suppliers, did alert level 4. Okay, whatever that means. But it's essentially an emergency protocol. Like, things not good. Supply down. So walk through this with me. Let's say you cannot get energy at any price. So the demand goes up. Obviously, that means the price goes up. But there's not enough to go around this winter. Who's to say that the Biden administration might not just nix exports altogether because voters demand, do something, do something. Why are we exporting oil? We don't have enough. And so they nix exports and say, sorry, Europe, I know you you need this stuff, but we got to look after our own folks. Fine. But we did something similar in 1971 with the dollar when France came to us and said, hey, methinks that you're printing too many dollars. We want the gold. And we're like, yeah, we were. And I said, sorry, our currency, your problem. Our energy, your problem. Deal with it. We might do the same thing this winter. And obviously that would complicate a relationship like on Facebook where you say it's complicated. It would complicate our relationship with Europe big time because we are the ones pushing them to not import from Russia, right? So they're assuming we have their back, helping them out with imports of energy. And what happens if, again, there's not enough supply to go around? People are going to demand something happen. And if we nix imports, what would that force Europe to do? If we nix imports to Europe, or exports to Europe, rather. They don't have a lot of bargaining chips there. And Putin has said, and I guess they don't even have an option now because of Nord Stream 2, but Putin has said, hey, if you want oil from Russia, you can just pay in a different currency other than the dollar. And I think that is part, if you look at the war in Ukraine and you look at it as a war between energy and sovereign debt in the West, meaning we try to just put sanctions on countries that have energy, but at the end of the day, who needs what more? Okay, so if you have one side that's saying, fine, we're not going to pay you, and they're like, okay, we don't need that piece of paper. If Russia's over here saying, we're not getting the piece of paper, and Europe's over here saying, we're not getting the energy, who needs who more? Europe needs Russia more. They need the energy. You know what I mean? Russia doesn't care about this piece of paper. They can sell it to somebody else. And if you look at it that way, if you look at Putin trying to have the world de-dollarize and take away the power from the West of the power of the purse and the world reserve currency, makes a lot more sense to me. So what I'm saying is, if we nix exports to Europe because there is a supply and demand problem, there's not enough supply to go around at any price, Europe will be forced to compromise, in my humble opinion, because their friend, the United States, can't help them out, and they need energy. And just like the Indian prime minister, people have said, hey, why in the world would you import energy from Russia? And he referred to Sri Lanka. It's like, look at these people. They're our neighbor. They don't have enough energy, and their entire country devolved into chaos, which is true. And he doesn't want to see the same thing happen to his country. And so the juice isn't worth the squeeze with him when it comes to that, which kind of makes sense. And I think people are going to make the logical choice, or the least of two evils kind of choice. And the reality is, you need energy more than anybody else needs paper. Do I think the U.S. would do something like this? Yeah. Would nix exports to Europe? 100%. They've already floated it out for just price reasons alone. Who's to say they wouldn't float it out for desperate, like supply and demand, not enough supply to go around? I think that's definitely possible. We'll see this winter as demand goes up for things like energy. All right, let me know what you think in the comments below. See you guys in the next one. Peace.